Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are going to talk about how Captain America actually returned all the 6 Infinity Stones at the end of Avengers Endgame. Did he return all the stones in the same form and at the same exact spot from which they were taken? How does two Captain Americas work out in the main MCU timeline? And where the heck did he get that shield that he handed over to Falcon? So without further ado, let's get started.
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
Look, kid, there's a lot going on here that you don't understand.
Stark says you'd say that.
The reason that Cap goes back in time to return all these stones is because the Ancient One told Bruce Banner that removing the stones from the main timeline will create a distorted parallel reality, since the Infinity Stones are the artifacts that are responsible for the smooth flow of space-time. So to avoid these murky timelines, Professor Hulk sends Cap back in time to return all the 6 Infinity Stones along with Thor's Mjolnir. At first, it might seem like a simple task, simple enough not to be shown on the screen. I mean, how hard it can be. You just travel back in time and drop some stuff, right? Well, think again, because that's what Avengers thought when they went to get the stones in the first place. But as we saw, it turned out to be quite an adventure, which ended up with Tony sacrificing his life for the greater good of the universe. So when Cap goes back in time to return all the stones, it would have been complicated, that's for sure. The easiest stone to return would have been the Time Stone. All he had to do is just travel to 2012 New York and meet the Ancient One, who by that time would be expecting the stone to be returned. As far as the other stones are concerned, then Cap would have faced multiple problems, starting with the fact that the stones need to be converted back into the form in which they were taken. A Space Stone was in the form of Tesseract and the Mind Stone was in Loki's scepter. Likewise, the Reality Stone doesn't only need to be converted back into the form of Ether, but it also has to be put back in Jane Foster. And the problem gets even worse with the Power Stone, since the stone was kept in a containment facility guarded by the energy beams. The beams that fried Nebula's hands while she took out the orb like a boss. Returning the Soul Stone shouldn't be as complicated as it sounds, since the writers of Avengers Endgame have made it very clear that you don't get a soul back when you return the Soul Stone. That's not how it works. It's a one-way irreversible exchange. So we are not going to see Black Widow come back to life for the foreseeable future. But we will see Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff in the upcoming Black Widow movie, scheduled to release in May 2020, which would be a prequel focusing on her life before she joined the SHIELD. Now let's address the question, how does Cap solve the problem associated with the Power Stone, Space Stone and the Mind Stone? There have been some suggestions that Ancient One could have helped Cap with restoring the rest of the stones after she got the Time Stone. But let's not forget that she can't travel back in time. Yes, she can use the Time Stone to see the future and the past, but to travel to a different point in time, you need a quantum tunnel, along with Tony's tech, which is present in 2023. So for her to travel in time, first thing that Cap needs to do is bring her to 2023, or at least somehow connect her to the main time machine. But we didn't see that happen in Avengers Endgame, as Professor Hulk would have definitely known about that. So it seems like Cap was probably on his own for the most part of his mission. And if you think about it, the Avengers would have planned how to return the stones before they sent Cap. So they would have come up with a solution to the various problems associated with returning the stones. As Nebula, War Machine, Thor and Hawkeye knew exactly what Cap needs to deal with. So what was their plan? Well, the hint to that lies in the conversation between Ancient One and Bruce Banner. She tells Bruce that all the stones need to be present in that timeline, but she doesn't necessarily say that they need to be present in the same exact form. So there is no need for Cap to place them exactly in the same form in which they were taken, or even at the same exact spot. But in ideal scenario, that's what he should have done. But even if he places the stone in a different form, like Space Stone not being in the form of Tesseract, it would just create a parallel timeline, but that timeline would still have the stones. Likewise, he doesn't need to replace Loki's scepter, but just the Mind Stone, and the same goes for the Power Stone. So while we are at it, what about the shield? Where does Cap get the new shield that he gives to Falcon at the end of the movie? Well, there are two possibilities. Either he got the new shield made, or he took one from the past. In either case, it must have been pretty easy for him, since he could travel in time and he knew exactly how to get the new shield made. Just get some vibranium and give it to 1940s Howard Stark and ask him to make a new shield. And Cap knew exactly where to get the vibranium. He could have asked Black Panther or even taken it from Claw, the same guy from whom Ultron took the vibranium. Yes, convincing Howard Stark for another shield would have been quite a discussion, and it seems like the best thing to do. But there's always a possibility that Cap would have taken the shield from his past self and created a new parallel timeline. And if he did it, then the best time to do it would have been the 1940s when he went into the ice. So Cap would have traveled to the same exact spot where his plane went down in 1940s, where he stayed buried in ice for nearly 70 years. And yes, it does seem pretty convenient. But as I said, it would create a whole new parallel timeline where Cap never gets his original shield when he wakes up in 2011. So let me know in the comments, how do you think Cap managed to get hold of the new shield? With that, we will bring this video to an end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more upcoming content.